Hello, I'm Angela Wamboy, and here's a look at the stories making headlines on Capital TV. Former powerful cabinet minister Nicholas Biwott is dead. Biwott died in a hospital where he was rushed on Tuesday morning. His cousin Mark Chirchir told Capital FM News Biwott woke up well earlier in the morning before he began feeling unwell at about 9 a.m. He was then rushed to Nairobi Hospital, but by 9:30 a.m. he was dead. Biwott had, however, been ailing for some time, and erroneous reports of his death were posted previously on social media. Biwott, a former KO South MP and the leader of the National Vision Party, recently declared that his party would support the re-election of President Uhuru Kenyatta.
Yeah, we confirm that he's rested, and further information will be given once the family meets. Thank you.
Today is another sad day. We have lost former cabinet minister Nicholas Biwott, and he was a very humble man, a person who helped a lot of people, and it's a very sad day to learn of his death, and this is to really pass our message of condolences to the family.
President Uhuru Kenyatta says he fully supports the reviewed salary structure released by the Salaries and Remuneration Commission in its bid to tame the ballooning public wage bill. Speaking during a live telecast from State House, Nairobi, the president said the reduction of salaries and abolishment of some allowances enjoyed by state officers would ensure prudent use of public resources. The president, whose monthly pay was reduced to 1.4 million shillings from 1.6 million shillings, has called on Kenyans to support and cooperate with the commission as it seeks to save Kenya over 8 billion shillings a year.
For far too long, Kenyans have grown frustrated with the lack of transparent framework for the payment of public servants, and labor disputes had proliferated, and the wage bill had grown to unacceptable levels. And that is why our Constitution created the Salaries and Remuneration Commission as the agency to advise how we could best create the framework to streamline public sector pay, to create fiscal space, to finance education, roads, health, and so on.
In the new structure, which will take effect after the August 8th general election, salaries paid to elected representatives at the national and county levels will also be fixed for their term. Eminent Kenyan women, including former MPs Phoebe Asio and Julia Ojiambo, say they will move to court to block the swearing-in of MPs to the 12th Parliament unless a legislation to enforce the one-third gender rule of MPs is enacted. Rosalind Odede pointed out that it is impossible to meet the quorum with only 140 women vying for the elective seats against over 20,000 male candidates.
In the absence of legislation, we are saying that the Constitution, being the Grundnorm, is law, and therefore it should be abided by. We shall therefore take a constitutional reference to court if the National Assembly does not meet the one-third requisite number, and ask that the National Assembly, the next National Assembly, does not get sworn in until systems are put in place for compliance. We can have nominations of people into the seats that are not there, dependent on the strength of Parliament of the political parties that shall make it there.
The government has set up a website, www.kaiseri.or.ke, where Kenyans can follow funeral and burial arrangements and pay tribute to the late Interior Cabinet Secretary Joseph Kaiseri. As they do this, Health Cabinet Secretary Cleopa Mailu has urged Kenyans to be sensitive to the family's plight as they seek answers over the sudden death. Mailu, who chairs the burial committee, has raised concern over what he terms as alarming statements over the death, causing unnecessary tension.
Some of these comments have not only infringed upon the memory of the departed, but also greatly distressed family, friends, and relatives who are already in a mourning. In this regard, we ask Kenyans to do so in a respectable and a responsible manner.
A report by pathologists indicates that the late CS suffered an acute heart attack after a blood vessel to the heart was compromised. And finally, taking a look at the world of business, Uchumi Supermarket has finally clinched a strategic investor, a deal expected to bring it back to its feet. Speaking to Capital FM Business, the chief executive, Julius Kipnyatich, revealed that a strategic investor has been found and the deal is awaiting regulatory approval before it's announced. The strategic investor is set to inject 3.5 billion shillings into the retailer, which owes 5 billion shillings to banks and suppliers. The retailer announced it was seeking a strategic investor in December 2015 to take a controlling stake in the firm in exchange for a 5 billion shilling capital injection.
Our strategy was two-pronged, is to ask the government to give us 1.8 billion. Government has already given us 500, which we use to stabilize the business. But remember, the whole is 5 billion. So what would we do? For the last 1 year or so, we have been active in marketing Uchumi to potential investors. It has taken long because trying to sell a company which is underwater is not as easy. People think it's just going to say, oh, here is Uchumi, and then it takes some time because we have to look for somebody who has a higher risk appetite. I think we have come to the tail end of that process now, and shortly we will announce who has accepted to be the principal shareholder of Uchumi. We are expecting in the next few days to get a term sheet, and that term sheet will go through the process. It has already been approved by many stakeholders, and we're just waiting for the signed term sheet, and we give this to the regulators. Remember, we are a regulated company through the CMA, and once that process is complete, we will make the necessary announcements. But that's what are we expecting from that potential shareholder is to bridge the gap of the 5 billion, what the government is not able to give. And what we are looking for now is 3.5 billion. So if the potential investor injects the 3.5 billion, government brings in the remaining 1.3 billion, that now is what Uchumi requires to start rolling forward. So we are coming to the tail end of the challenges of Uchumi, and I want to assure the public, our customers, that shortly you will find all the goods you want in Uchumi. I also want to assure suppliers that we will pay them promptly. I know the issues here which have come a lot about prompt payment, but once we have that cash flow cycle, I want to also assure all the other stakeholders that the balance Uchumi has had all the time will be restored.
And that's a wrap-up of the day's top stories. I've been your host, Angela Wambui. For more on these and other stories, log on to www.capitalfm.co.ke/TV. And up next, we have a feature covering the interlinkage between food and education on Pokot.
It is lunchtime at Chemolingot Primary School. Temperatures are about 40 degrees Celsius, and all pupils from class 1 to 6 are outside playing as they wait for lunch to be prepared. Classes had been suspended earlier because of high temperatures, making learning impossible. Among the hundreds of students, one can be able to pick about 10 who are not wearing a school uniform. They all have small bags, and inside there is an exercise book and a bowl. Food is finally ready, and the school matron serves lunch. It takes the intervention of teachers to guide the students into a queue after near commotion. Tens of students have fled their homes and joined the school, according to Jane Kitilit, who is the school deputy head teacher, largely because of the food program.
Feeding program has become the backbone of the education of our children, and the school has become a refuge place for food security. Most of our children, they come to school just because they want to be fed, they want to eat, and at the long run, they care to learn, and we care to inculcate the values of education. We give them the importance of education, And we also teach them to be better people in the government and even in our community. So we can see that our government have done so much, so that the children are eating well, they get their lunch, they eat well, and they have good health. Recently we received from far from Kapedo, some of them from Akuchatis, from Amaya, and others from Ameyan, so, and Jesitet, and others from a place far the other end, Dunyasas. They are boarding in the school. They walk 90 kilometers, they'll come here after 3 days. And the first thing we love to give them food. And we let them to rest. We tell our children to help them with the right attire for school. They don't have school uniform because they have just come from home and their parents were not willing to let them come to school. That is why they are coming the way they are, with their sheets and also with the way they are. We come here, we shave their hair, and they behave like children in school.
Yeah, I came to school because in our home we didn't have food, so that has helped me, and I come to school, and I can see I'm going to be a better person in the future. It's the food that have attracted the children to come to school, and that has helped them to get education.
Baringo County has 2 types of school meals programs. That is regular school meals program supported by the national government in conjunction with the World Food Program and the Homegrown School Meals Program. So far, about 115 schools in East Pokot have benefited.